Hey guys, welcome to Joe Knows. So glad you're taking the time to listen to this. We are in a series that I've titled Parenting for a Lifetime. And that's really what parenting involves, a whole lifetime of you being able to share, to bring a life into the world, and then to help that life become exactly what it was designed by its creator to be. And what an exciting challenge. It's a great task. There's nothing easy about it. But I want to tell you, the great things in life are not easy. They're challenges, but they are certainly worth every bit of it when you become successful. And last week we talked about how a baseball player that fails 7 out of 10 times is considered one of the best. So we don't have to worry about being perfect and not making mistakes. What we want to do is keep getting up to the plate, keep trying, and do the best we can. And I think at the end of the day, we're going to find that the effort that we put into parenting is really going to help us to succeed. And so I wanted to talk to you a little bit about my family. I have 3 children, and they're grown now, but I have the joy, man, parenting adult children. You're not really parenting, you're just kind of watching how the seeds that you've planted into a human being grow and develop. It's really fun, but it's challenging, and they're all different. So there's a verse in Proverbs. It says this: train up a child in the way that he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. And I like to think of that verse meaning train up a child according to the way that they have been designed. And when they're old, they'll not depart from that. They will have found who they are made to be, and they will be that. And that is the key to success in a person's life, discovering who they are by the one that made them and helping them to become that. So when it comes to children, I have a son named Christopher. He is now 32, and he was, from the moment he was born, strong-willed. Strong and strong-willed. And I have a daughter named Brianna. She's 30 years old, and she was the compliant. Just kind of went along with things, was very easy to lead, believed everything I told her, and just went ahead and did it. And then I have a third child named Jojo, and he is 26. And Jojo is, he's a very sensitive person. So I've got, and so, wow, those are 3 very different. Now, there are similarities in my children, but they are different. And to train up a child in the way that they should go, it was different for each one of them. And I had to really think about that. And I had to adjust as the parent. I had to have a willingness to adjust, to first of all, create the environment in which each of them would flourish in life. And then it involved me adjusting my parenting skills. My style was not necessarily effective. I had to have different styles of parenting to be able to meet each of my children where they are and help them become who they're supposed to be. Now, that's why I told you fail 7 out of 10 times, maybe more. But you keep trying, and you keep learning and studying. So what I want to say is that if you have a child, that's great. You can focus on that child. If you have many children, then you have got some learning to do. And the easiest way to learn about who your child is to observe them and think about things. And, I would say pray and ask God to give you wisdom and guidance. So for my son, Chris, he was strong-willed. And I remember now, he got his first spanking when he was 9 months old. You say, Joe, wait a second. This is maybe, in our society, we'd say abusive. Listen, spankings were not, we'll talk more about this in the future, but when we correct a child, it's not punitive, it's corrective. So when I was spanking my child lightly over his diaper at 9 months old, it was because we were in a battle of the wills. And at 9 months old, my son, Christopher, was pretty sure that he was in charge. He was the alpha. And so for a strong-willed, you've got to establish that when they're young, they're not the alpha, but you also have to recognize they will be the alpha someday when they become who they're made to be. So I had some challenges along the way with Christopher. And I remember Christopher would say to me, Dad, and this is, this is later on in life as a teenager, my son, pastor's son, throw that out the window. They're really not pastor's kids or doctor's kids or, electrician's kids. They're kids, okay? And my son said to me, Dad, I'm really glad that you're tough with me because imagine what I would have done if you weren't. So he would look back at his life and he was thankful that I had to be tough. I had to be strong, even though by the time Chris was 14 or 15, he was stronger than me. But I had to be strong with him. He needed that. That was the environment in which he would grow and learn to use that strong-willed nature he had, but not let it destroy him. My daughter Brianna was compliant. You told Brianna something, she's like, okay, Dad, that must be true. If I said it, it was true. And Brianna did everything I said. And that was pretty easy. She got spanked maybe, I think, 2 or 3 times in her life. Why? It wasn't effective. It was so traumatic to her. The thought of her being corrected by a spanking was traumatizing for her. And I realized that pretty early on. And guess what? It was not effective with her, and I did not spank my daughter. Me letting her know that I was disappointed in something she had done, that's all she needed. By the way, you hear the garbage truck in the background, and we're not going to edit that out because, listen, when you're parenting, there's lots of garbage that comes, and you have to be able to take the garbage and throw it out. But that'll be for later on, another time. So my daughter was compliant, but as my daughter got older, what I found was she was weaker in the sense that she didn't really know why she was doing what she was doing, why she was believing what she was believing, because taking your father's counsel and wisdom completely without thinking it through doesn't make for the strongest person. And my daughter had to go through times in her life where she actually had to rethink a lot of things that she had taken for granted that she believed, but they weren't really heartfelt. My third child, Jojo, Jojo was a sensitive. But I need to explain this to you because as a guy, boys are not always sensitive, okay? It's a generalization. There are boys that are very, like my son is sensitive, Jojo, but he was the most sensitive, insensitive person that you've ever met. Because Jojo could call me every name in the book. I was an old man. I was bald before I really was. I was short. All these things that he would throw at me. And yet, if I came back at him with the slightest thing in a joking way, he was crushed. And I could never understand it because my son is a man and he's strong, but he's sensitive. And that had to be, there's a term I want you to use. My daughter was nannying a family in Dallas, nannying their children. There were 4 children, and I think 3 or 4. And she came up, the parents had this term, you got to parent that. You got to parent that. So here's what I want to say when it comes to your children. First of all, you need to recognize that this is not an easy task. That if you have multiple children, every one of them is different. And you as the leader, the parent, you have to figure out who they are, how they're wired, what they're called to be, generally speaking, although you're not going to shape that, you're going to recognize that. How do you do it? You watch them, you listen, you pray, and you just think about, you say, Joe, that takes a lot of time. It does. And great parenting takes a lot of time. But great parenting, it has great, great payoffs. And you're going to try to understand who they are, and then you're going to begin slowly but surely, knowing that you can bat 300, make out 7 out of 10 times and still be highly successful. You're going to start to begin to create the environment in which they are going to flourish. So that means you as a parent are going to have to adjust the way you parent. You don't just say, well, this is the way we do it. Why? Because I'm in charge and I'm the boss. Listen, you don't have to worry about parenting for a lifetime. Parent that way, and as soon as they're old enough to get out of the house, they'll be gone. and you'll have very little influence in their lives. But when you decide that you're going to become a student of your children, and figure out who they are and help them to become who they are made to be, you're going to find that that parenting is going to be for a whole lifetime. It's going to create much more joy than it does struggle, and you will have that. You will be a parent for forever in their lives. I highly recommend it. I'm going to keep, so here's the piece we're creating today. You have to find out, who are they? How are they wired? What are they meant to be? And begin to help them move into that realm. I hope this is helpful. God bless you. I recommend highly that you lean on God and Jesus Christ and the Holy Spirit to help you with this unbelievably challenging but unbelievably fulfilling task of being a parent. See you next time.